Today on Upfront, right to work is all but certain to become law in Wisconsin. Next, Assembly Speaker Robin Vos on selling the idea to the public, and Minority Leader Peter Barca on what Democrats say it'll mean for the state. Then, the future of labor. How will unions now convince people to join and pay dues? And the UW system facing a $300 million cut. What it could mean for UW's two-year colleges and extension.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. Right to work is on its way to becoming law in Wisconsin, perhaps within a matter of days. The state Senate passed it last week despite protests at the state capitol. The right to work legislation would ban agreements between employers and labor unions that require employees to pay union dues. The Assembly Labor Committee will hold a hearing tomorrow, and possibly the full vote on the matter will come on Thursday. Speaker Robin Vos has promised a week in which they will educate the public about right to work and what it would mean for the state. Democrats have their own ideas about what right to work will do in Wisconsin, and we're going to talk about that now. We're joined by Republican Speaker Robin Vos and Democratic Minority Leader Peter Barca. Gentlemen, good to have you back on the program.
Thanks for having us.
So what do you hope to accomplish with the week ahead? I'll begin with you, Speaker Vos.
Well, the most important thing is for us to continue the public conversation that was started in December by Senator Fitzgerald. Right to work has been around literally for decades, so it's not a new idea, but it's one that might be newer to some folks in Wisconsin. The discussion began in December, so there's been lots of talk since then. But I think it's important for us to not just listen to the one side who talks about all the negative reasons that you would not want to adopt right to work, which is what unions are focused on. I think there's a lot of benefits why we want to do it. Worker freedom, giving people an opportunity to make their own choices should be a fundamental right in our democracy, and I certainly think that's what we're going to talk about this week. More choices for workers equals hopefully a better state with more jobs coming to our country.
You're talking about public education. Was there sufficient public education, though, really, before the Senate voted on this, basically guaranteed passage of right to work?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I mean, once again, we've had this discussion for months. One of the criticisms we had during Act 10 was that it was somehow surprised that all of a sudden this issue came on and it was rushed through. Well, this way, certainly it's not a surprise because it's been out there since way before the first of the year. We're not rushing it through. We could have easily had a hearing with the Senate, and instead we've chosen to do our own hearing where the public can come and testify. Then we're going to have a separate vote days later, which is all part of the MOU that Peter and I signed as leaders to try to say we want to have a better process as opposed to jamming everything through. We're keeping to the spirit of that MOU, and I'm looking forward to the debate.
So what do you hope to, as a Democrat, you know what's going to happen this week. What do you hope to gain from this week?
Well, let me say a couple of things. First of all, it's not a surprise. I mean, I think most people in Wisconsin are astonished that this is coming up. Why would they be astonished? Because in the governor's own words, during the middle of the campaign in September, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel quoted, "I'm not pushing for right to work. I'm not supporting it in this session." You can't be any clearer, Mike. I mean, it's almost like the right to deceive people. And it's just unbelievable that it's actually coming up. But obviously, you know, it's very clear. I mean, we just came from the Marquette campus with your program, which was terrific. And, you know, a prominent professor there, Dr. Chaudhry, said that this will take $6 to $7 billion out of the economy. $6 to $7 billion. On average, people in right-to-work states make between $6,000 and $7,000 less a year. And there's no question the credible studies on this show that wages will definitely go down. And that's what's at stake. You know, at a time when the middle class is taking it on the chin, the last thing we need is to go backwards. But this isn't just about workers. You have 440-some businesses that have signed on to this. When 440 businesses in Wisconsin talk, I'm listening.
Wow, I hope you'll listen to them on all kinds of other topics that the Democratic Party has chosen to ignore them on.
No,
with the regulatory climate and everything else. So one of the things that I look at as we are going through this process, is right to work a good thing for Wisconsin? I believe it is. Is it going to be a game changer? In some circumstances it will, but it is not going to create thousands and thousands of jobs, just like it's not going to
Do you think any companies will move to this state because of right to work legislation?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to the author of Right to Work in Indiana. We've talked to people around the country. On the margins, it is definitely a net positive. There's no doubt. That's why right to work states have higher job creation, higher income growth over time. The difference is there's a lot of scare tactics on their side. The credible study that he references to is funded by the unions. And there's no decline in wages in Indiana. We've actually seen that they have 50,000 more people who are in the labor union since the passage of right to work from the day that it was signed. Their wages are increasing. I would love to be Indiana because they've got a lower unemployment rate, more economic growth than we do, not this $5,000 to $6,000 cut in pay, which is totally false.
Well,
No, it's not false. In fact, the most credible study on this came from Dr. Heidi Schoeneholz, who actually is the chief economist of the Department of Labor, very important position. But also, as I mentioned, right here at Marquette, Dr. Chaudhry said there'll be no discernible economic advantage to Wisconsin. I would argue it'll be an economic decline in Wisconsin. And small businesses will suffer the most, because when people don't make enough money to support their family, they can't buy the goods and services.
You would agree, though, that Wisconsin doesn't live in a vacuum. I mean, you do acknowledge what's happening in Michigan, which has become a right-to-work state, what's happened in Indiana, right-to-work state, what's happened in Iowa, right-to-work state. You realize that we're in competition. Do you think that has anything to do with how businesses make decisions when you're the state that says we don't do right to work?
Well, as a matter of fact, I don't even ask me. I mean, look at the Site Selection Magazine did a study asking CEOs around the country, what are the top 10 reasons why you decide to locate your business? Not in the top 10, Mike. Now, maybe it was number 11, maybe it was number 111, but it was not in the top 10. They look at things like infrastructure, transportation, skilled labor. And skilled labor is the most important one, because the building trades, I mean, the mere people, the plumbers, the carpenters, the bricklayers, they're the people, they're the foundation of America. They helped build this country. They built the foundation of America, and they should be able to make a living wage.
They will under right to work.
The whole goal of this program is to bring down wages. Make no mistake about it.
People who are plumbers in Indiana are not in poverty. People who are doing construction in Iowa are not in poverty, even though they've been right to work. Let's just remember that. Let's not use hyperbole.
Let me have you address, though, something you've said on this program. You said probably about a year and a half ago when you were on this program, and I asked you about right to work, and you said one thing you learned during all the tumult of Act 10 was that people outside Wisconsin don't feel good about investing in Wisconsin when there's such a contentious environment. Would you not agree that this doesn't just stir things up again and create a more contentious environment that might possibly scare off businesses?
It's definitely possible, which is why we're trying to have a civil debate. I think that you can look what's happening in the Capitol. There aren't 100,000 protesters. There's a couple thousand. I look at my own email. Since I got, since this issue was acted on, or was discussed, I've gotten like 40 emails from my district in opposition to right to work. So I would say compared to the 1,000 I probably got on Act 10, it is dramatically different. And no matter how much the Democrats try to stir people up, this is a simple issue of worker freedom. Every single person in Wisconsin who's in a union right now, after right to work passes, will be able to stay in a union if they choose to. They want to have forced unionism. I want to have voluntary unionism. That shouldn't be a radical notion. It shouldn't scare anybody.
Let me forced unionism. That's the kind of misleading rhetoric that the Republicans use. Let's be clear. You do not have to belong to any union in Wisconsin, no matter where you work. Now, you do have to pay your fair. You do have to pay your fair share. Absolutely.
Which is like 90% of the thing.
It's just like my homeowners association. I live on a pond. Maybe my neighbor doesn't care if we have a polluted pond, but we all have to have that pond. The bottom line is, though, let's never forget what made America the economic envy of the world was having a strong, vibrant middle class. And we're going backwards in Wisconsin, and this is going to take us further backwards, and it's going to take a big hit. The middle class, who are going to see their wages go down.
That's going to have to be the final word. Democratic Minority Leader
I'm
Peter
used to
Barka and Speaker Robin Vos. We appreciate your time. Thanks very much
Mike.
for being with us today.
Mike.
You bet. Coming up next, we'll talk more about the future of unions. What do they do after right to work is approved? We'll be talking with a representative of organized labor when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.